Yeah, it's so good to be on screen. Let's see here. Thank you for joining me with the Magically Living podcast. I'm your host, Rainbow Winds. You finally get to see me. It's episode 11, and I've been asked some questions, and I thought, what better way than to answer questions and come on and speak with you? You see, my glasses are giving a reflection, so I'm just going to take those off. So, first and foremost, thank you for joining me. I hope that you've joined in some of the last 10 episodes. We've covered quite a bit of different topics. I've tried to keep them informative and podcast like so you didn't have to look at me. But I've got a lot of emails asking me to show up and talk on screen so that you can actually see me. So, hello, I'm Rainbow Winds. That's my spirit name. My name is Victoria. If you want to, like in our matrix, my name is Victoria. I've been asked a lot of questions lately, so I thought I would try to get as many as possible and just remember. I was gonna write them down and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna just go off the hook and just go from my heart. So I was asked, when did I first start practicing magic, or when did I decide to have a magical life? Well, I first started practicing magic when I was 11. I had grandparents that were Masons. I get nervous when I say that, but they were. I had been blessed through my life, being taught by shamans, men and women. And then even by the time I was 18, I was taught hoodoo voodoo. Um, and I've explored different forms of magic since. I admit one of my very favorite things to use is The Secret, with manifesting magic, like manifesting money, manifestation. I love that topic. And I love what people are doing with it nowadays. And it is an actual real thing. Um, I do want to do a podcast on what they don't tell you about manifestation. And like, because there's some like down parts to it too. Like when you don't know what to do with the money when it does show up, or you don't know what to do with the lover when the lover shows up, that you're not spiritually prepared, and it takes you on a spiritual lesson. And a lot of people beat themselves up thinking that they lost their opportunity or lost their manifestation, when the truth is you didn't lose the manifestation. You actually gained a life lesson, a spiritual lesson, along with the manifestation. You're simply leveling up to a degree where the universe and you have made an agreement before you incarnated here on earth. So, how did I begin in magic? I was listening to Led Zeppelin. Believe it or not, I was listening to Led Zeppelin, and I fell in love with their music, and something triggered in the images from their physical graffiti album. And I started having vivid dreams about magic. I didn't know about my grandparents. I knew that they did stuff at the temple. They taught me a lot of earth-based things, but they were the type of people that went to church, they went to a Presbyterian church or a United church. But they did have their special ceremonies when they would go to, they went to the Eastern Star. They were part of the Eastern Star. Let's see here. I never left magic. It's always been intriguing to me. I did speak with people who passed on when at a very young age. When I was 5 years old, my grandmother and my mother did have me hypnotized. They didn't want me speaking with people that had passed on. It was 1980 at the time, and it wasn't really well received with people. I mean, movies like Ghostbusters and stuff came out, so they didn't want me to be laughed at. But by the time I was 33, I literally cracked back into it, and I started asking questions, and I met some pretty fantastic people along the way, some really great friends that have helped me with my gift. Um, yeah, so that's as long as I've been talking to spirit. Um, I would say I've been more in contact with spirit since I was 33. So I'd say like the last almost 20 years now. It's been, I built up my language with spirit. I'm trying to think of another question here. Oh yeah, there was one that said, is there anything that I've ever tried to manifest that never happened? Um, yeah, lottery wins. But I understood it because I did receive money in some of my manifestations. And once I got to like the $50,000 mark, I got really nervous with money. So then I had to work through that situation and I manifested mentorships and like with banks and with entrepreneurs and working around that so I could understand money and understand my relationship with money and to just go further into it. So again, when you're manifesting, you never know what's going to happen. Um, don't expect the outcome to always come exactly the way you think it is. Because I personally manifested relationships in the past that taught me a lot about what I actually wanted in a relationship. I like the specifics were there, but not the actual relationship. So, and I've been manifesting, gosh, since for over 20 years. I got hooked on The Secret as well. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff talk about the Napoleon Hill book. I had found that in a laundry room after I had manifested the place I needed to live. Actually, it's even before The Secret. Um, I just didn't know it was called manifestation. I just knew that my prayers were getting answered, and if I did certain things, that my prayers would be answered. And the certain things were not like worry about it. I had to just like let it go to the universe. Some amazing things have happened when you do stuff like that. When you get into manifestation, a lot of people are hard on about it, like they're not sure about it, and they're learning like different techniques. So the first thing I can say is one, trust the process, trust the universe, and trust yourself that whatever's coming in, it's coming in divine timing and exactly the right time. Do I believe in ritual? Yes, I do. Do I think there's anything wrong with it? No, I don't. I think that incorporating rituals and ceremonies into our daily lives makes our life even more magical than what they already are. I consider us all very magical beings. I mean, if you take a moment and you think about right here and now and how you got here into this moment, it's a pretty amazing story, is it not? You're magic. I believe everybody's magic. It's up to you if you want to be good magic or bad magic. It's all what's within your heart. I believe we're all capable of manifesting because I believe that we are in the image of our creator and we create. That's who we are. Um, yeah. See what else have I think of? Oh, what do I do as a regular job? Well, I used to be a nurse many, many, many moons ago. Long before the pandemic, I had quit. My mother was my last patient. I uh, I specialized in geriatrics and I specialize in brain dementias. Um, what do I do now for a living? I well, I create things. I'm an artist. I'm working towards that. I'm an author. I'm an educator. I'm a nature and forest bathing guide. I'm certified with the Association with Nature and Forest Bathing. I do trail designs. Well, pretty much anything I set my mind to. Um, that's the beauty of being a master manifester. Um, yeah. Some people say, like, well, you don't have $1 million in the bank. Well, I'm going to soon. Start understanding money as I talked to you about, and I've totally shifted my mindset. I've gotten myself out of debt. I've kept myself out of debt. I started learning that I had like a financial limit. I started learning from entrepreneurs, and I did it all for free. Um, I reached out. I mean, the universe always helps out, right? But like a couple of years ago, I had no clue about money, and I was getting very frustrated because I didn't understand some of the languages in business plans, and I didn't want to be a sole proprietor. I didn't want it to come back on me because I wanted to keep my life where it's at. and it's steady, and it made me feel good to be steady. And I didn't want to like overdo it because then I knew I had to continually perform. And at that time, my health was kind of shaky and I wasn't sure about it. And I knew I needed to focus more on healing and not so much on money, but I still needed to learn. So I reached out and it was just a quick Google and I found a mentorship with the local bank and it was actually for women. And I went through that full year of that mentorship. And then when that year was up, I asked again for another mentorship and they said, well, there were stipulations to it and I had to step up. I was like, all right, so then I did. And then that continues, like even to this day. Um, so I'm in the middle of building like my empire, like literally right now. So I why do I do the podcast? That was another question. Why do you do the podcast? Why do you do angel card readings? Because it's to my heart. I've been doing angel card readings since I was 18. Um, it was one of those divine purpose things that came along. Why angels? Because I've met an angel personally, and she touched me in such a way and helped me in such a way when I was in such a desperate part of my life. Has it always been easy? No. And I'm grateful for that because that's what gave me the story and the journey. Um, Trying to think of other questions. Oh, how old am I? I'm almost 50. Somebody asked me, like, how old are you? You look so young. You keep talking like you've been reading for 30 years, but you look like somebody said I looked like I was like 36 years old. I'm like, oh, thank you. For me, that was like over a decade ago, plus a couple of years. I'm not quite 50 yet. I'm 49 this year. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Okay, maybe I should have wrote the list. I should have been a little bit more prepared. Um, oh, what was the favorite thing I like to teach? I don't know yet. I've been just starting on this educational role. I started a couple years ago. I put out a nature and forest bathing course on Udemy because I didn't really have a lot of money at the time. It was during the pandemic. Everything was online, and I didn't have a lot to risk, and I didn't want to risk it because I remember I said I didn't understand the language of money. And so I started on there. And I've just grown with courses and I've grown with my comfort level. I continue on my own education as well. Um, it's not just about me teaching, it's about me learning and growing too. So then I can add more value to what I'm teaching as well. But then, yeah, nature and forest therapy was my first one. I think I did the color healing one next, the color healing practitioner. And oh, no, I did the mindful drawing next because I had taught that as a class online. Another thing that I manifested and I'm grateful for, and I'm still part of the art community. In fact, tomorrow I start one of the two classes with the art community, and one of them is about money, about funding my art projects. I'm actually in the process of like looking at new houses and making like actual plans, so it's pretty incredible. Um, so if I could give you any advice, if you're starting to manifest with money, is sit with the amount of money that you want and really feel it. And if you get nervous with it, ask yourself why and start planning. Have fun with planning your money. It can be hard when you're not used to having. So when you take such a big number, like say $20 million, and this was actually something I learned from my entrepreneurship. Um, you can even start with like $250,000, $20,000, and just say, what would you do if that fell into your lap right now? Like, what would you do with it? How would you feel? Would you be elated? Would you go blow it all? And then would you feel bad afterwards? Like, be honest with yourself, right? And then when you're honest with yourself, because then you've already thought about it, and then you'd be like, oh, yeah, I would like to do this. Or no, I don't think I want to like to do this. Because I would feel bad. I would feel good that I got maybe the car or maybe a trip or something else. I don't know, right? But then, you realize like, hey, I wanted to invest some money into me, into my education, into my future. Yeah, I wanted a car, but I don't need like a Lamborghini. Maybe I can get like maybe I can get a Lamborghini, but I can get like a used Lamborghini, you know? And then like in 3 years' time, I'll get the brand new Lamborghini. And then I have two Lamborghinis, right? So I hope that makes sense. Let's see what else? Because that's where I live. I live in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I came here 10 years ago. I left a really toxic relationship. One that I manifested, I might add. Oh, yeah. It was like my beginning times with manifesting relationships. You use like a picture and image, and I put some things into play, and I got those things, but I didn't quite manifest the greatest guy. He ended up with like a lot of problems, which drug me down. And if you're here, then I'm sure you're a light worker or you're an empath like me, and you just give your all and you give your heart because you want the best for everybody. And I've learned, all kinds of therapy in the last 10 years, actually longer than 10 years, but specifically these 10 years, I really like dug in the root deep and made sure that I understood what was going on because I wanted to be able to help others. Um, because I understood like I was getting myself out of things and things were happening and I knew how to manifest. And I always wanted to teach people how to connect with nature because nature is like alive and noticing us. And there's such a relationship there. I think loneliness would be taken care of if people could understand that when you're talking to your plant is listening to you and it wants to hear more conversation. It loves it when it notices, you notice it. Um, who doesn't like to be admired? Who doesn't like to be talked nice to? We have so much science now that backs up these claims, and it's just getting better and better. Let's see here. I don't want to bore you too much because I want to just talk about me, but I knew this was going to be a quick one. I do want to ask you, like, if there's any like magical topics you want to talk about, um, please leave them in the comment section or feel free to find me on social media at Rainbow Winds Healing, or you can comment in the section here, or you can email me at rainbowwindshealing@gmail.com and I'll reply to you. I have no issues with that. I've met some pretty fantastic people this way. So I believe that everything is in divine timing. So if you see this, it was meant for you. So make sure that you go down below and talk about what you wanna learn about. If I don't know, I will tell you flat out. I'm gonna research it and then I'll share it with you because I would like to learn it too. Um, I know somebody asked me about mask making and the magic with mask making, and somebody asked me about master healer crystals. So mask making, that can get into a lot, and I learned a lot with mask making with taking like art classes. Um, I've always known about using masks for going to different states, like different realities. But mask making is also storytelling. And when you start getting into mask making, please respect any cultures that have their religious beliefs based around mask making. It's really important that, um, for me, anyways, to reflect this, that be sensitive to other people's feelings and their religious beliefs. Because just like you and your religious beliefs, they're important to you. You may not agree on your religion, but it is just as important to that person as it is to you. And when you actually get to the core of it, when you start speaking to other people and you start learning different religions, to me, is different forms of magic. That's just how I take it on. But in the end, there are a lot of commonalities in between religions, and I don't even like calling religions, but there's a lot of commonalities between different magics, different forms of how we're grateful to what's created us, and how we're grateful for our life here today and the things that we receive, whether it's food, whether it's healing, if it's abundance, if it's love in our life, if it's great family, if it's escaping near death. I mean, there's so much to be grateful for each and every day. I mean, we're like literally a miracle. We're like a rock floating, spinning in the middle of wherever, and we have a sun and we have all these things going on. It's quite amazing, you know. We're amazing, amazing species. And we're all inquisitive, we all have thoughts, we all have feelings. So that's one like three things right there that connect us, you know? So let's see here. I'm trying to think of, remember somebody asked me if I was homeless before. Yes, I've been homeless. Um, I've had to live in a shelter a few times in my life. But actually, again, it propelled me to bettering my life. Each time it had something to do with a toxic relationship. That has been a very big pitfall in my life, is falling into toxic relationships. But I've worked really hard in the last few years on getting out of that. And the last couple of relationships I was in, I'm very proud of myself. I stood my ground. I stayed into healthy boundaries, and I understood where the mistake was. Like, I was manifesting really good partners, but again, I wasn't looking into like what was the relationship looking like between us. Like, and I didn't understand what a healthy relationship looked like. So then I started learning. So, and if you're interested in something like that, I'm not getting any, like, I'm not getting any kind of endorsement or anything like that, or any sponsorship. But if you're interested, you can check out the Crappy Childhood Fairy. She really does amazing work, and she gives a lot of things for free. She has like a free mini course for journaling, getting things out. I've seen other people kind of use this concept of journaling. I'm a big fan of journaling. It's good to release and it's good to create. It's quite amazing. Um, when you adapt that with visuals and with your physical sensations of your body, it's amazing what happens. Um, I personally found that one of my biggest transformations was through going through my own story. Sorry, I had a question in my head that I should have said it loud. Somebody asked me, um, what was like one of my hardest moments or my biggest transitions in life. Like, where did it switch up for me? And for me, where it switched up was I was taking an expressive based dance class, and I showed up. It's about how I can explain it. I showed up when I didn't want to show up. Um, I absolutely hated being on camera. If this was 5 years ago, I wouldn't be in front of this camera. I still choose not really to be in front of cameras. It's not one of my favorite things in the world. I like being behind the camera, taking photos, taking videos, creating movies. Um, and I giggle because I manifested a movie into a festival last year. Um, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can manifest anything that you want. You just gotta try. It's not just gonna come. You should like put the effort out there. Like when you're fishing, you gotta have some bait on your hook. You gotta have the action of going to the river or going to the places to make those dreams come true. Um, yeah, but like a pivotal point for me was that, and it was showing up. She was a wonderful teacher, and the reason why I mentioned the film is because I actually told this story, and that was the story that was chosen for my short film and for the art exhibition. Um, Long story short, uh, I showed up when I didn't want to show up. I did something completely wrong. Everybody else in the class had done something and it looked very similar, all the same, the assignment, and I did not at all. At all. I don't know where my brain went, but they had big, pretty snowflakes cut out. And I had like a little tiny sliver of paper. And I was pretty upset because I was referencing that little tiny sliver of paper to myself. This is my life. I had to figure it out. I was so upset. And I did not want to show up, and I didn't want to upset the teacher. Something deep down inside me said, no, show up. Show up in your uncomfortable feelings. You're not there to hurt anybody's feelings. You're not gonna call anybody names. You might swear, which I did, because I was like, my life. But I laugh now because she gave me such a gift for showing up. And she showed me that being different is like such an important gift because we have such a different perspective on the world. We have such a different view. And that's when it all shifted for me. And I started understanding that I'm sorry, I'm about to cry because it's such a beautiful thing. It shifted for me when I realized that all of our perspectives are just as important as each other's, that our perspectives are very different, that, there's that dress that went around that was like, I think it was supposed to be like blue and white, and some people said it was gold and white. And truthfully, I seen black and blue. I was just at the Tony Robbins event and they brought that up. And I was like in the chat, does anybody else see black and blue? Because I don't see any of those colors that they're mentioning. And somebody else said, I do. So there you go. It just goes to show you that that's just how it works. And I've learned that with manifestation. I've been teaching people now for a couple of years, and I use a technique with finding four-leaf clovers. It's like my favorite thing to do. Because most generally, a lot of people don't find four-leaf clovers, or they have, and they consider it a very rare and special treat. And then I show them how they can find four-leaf clovers anytime. And then once they do that, it builds confidence. And from that confidence, we flourish into how you can focus in and get whatever you need in your life. Big or small, just go at your own pace. You got this. Just remember that this is a magical life. You are magical and you're deserving of this magical life. If you have shame and guilt, it's okay to seek out and get help with that. That is part of self-care, is going to the doctors, is going to those hard appointments and showing up because you're showing up for yourself. You might not have the tools to get yourself out of that, and that's okay. And I spent too many years trying to figure it out on my own. So if you can take anything from me, is reach out for help if you don't understand. You don't always have to reach out to your family. You can reach out to people that, you know, online. You can have search engines. Here in Ontario, we have a place that we call it's 211, and it's like a 411 is like an information service, but like a little bit more in depth. Yeah, just amazing things. I could go on and on about like things that are manifested in my life. It's just crazy, crazy. But yeah, I hope that I've answered the questions. I mean, if you have more questions, how about on episode, because we're number 11, we'll make it 22, we'll make it 11 episodes, because I want to do this for like one full year. Make sure I talk about everything I possibly can think of magical, that can help equip you in your life so that you can wake up feeling magical, like, you know, just everything. When you're making your tea, if you take a moment to close your eyes before you spin your spoon and you just speak whatever it is that you want, And if you're turning to the right, you're bringing it in. If you're turning to the left, you're releasing it, unless you're left-handed. Just trust the process. You're not like everybody else. You're unique, and that's what makes you magical as well. But it's also magical that we're connected. How beautiful is that? This has been a really cool podcast for me. I did take a class on podcasting. I totally admit that. But it didn't digest very well. I thought about taking it this semester with my art community, and it was offered, but I have so much on my plate right now, and I really want to be able to devote a lot of time to it. And I'm in doing botanical inks right now, and I'm doing some watercolor painting. I'm also finishing off 3 more courses, and I have 2 books that I'm in the process of writing. Yeah, I have a lot. Plus, I'm planning on some other businesses, as well as planning out nature walks for the spring, summer, and fall. It has been a busy time. I can't believe January is already done, and here we are in February. I feel like we're gonna blink and it's gonna be done. So the one thing I can say about jumping into a magical life is you're never bored. Although I'm busy, I'm happily busy. I'm not like cranky busy, like I have to do things I don't want to do. Um, so that would be a major shift, like when you're able to do what you want to be able to do, and you're heading in the right direction, and you're leveling up, and you're understanding your weaknesses, and you're understanding your strengths, and you're trying to balance and work them out as you move forward. So I wish you lots of love. Thank you for joining me. The channel is going to take an interesting turn in a couple of weeks. There's going to be more scheduled programming to the channel. There's going to be more like do-it-yourself magical tools. I'm also going to be introducing like nature bathing to the channel so that you can connect with nature. And I think I'm going to have a tarot day on the channel. How does that sound? Pretty cool. Over on Rainbow Winds, I'm sticking with the angel messages. My spirit team has really made it clear that they really love the idea that I just do angelic messages there. Because a lot of really cool messages are coming through for people, and I feel like there's like change happening for people. Like everybody's getting the message exactly at the right time. Um, it's pretty amazing how that's going. It took me a few years to get that channel going. When I first started, I was dipping into it and I dip out of it, I dip into it, I dip out of it. And I kept wanting to do it. And then I waited because then I let go of like control of it. And then Spirit like tapped me this summer and said, just do a few. And then it was fall, like early, like late summer, early fall. That Spirit's like, okay, I want you to show up every day now. You show up every day. So I did. I started showing up every day. And then after Samhain, things started picking up. And I said, what's going on, Spirit? And Spirit's like every day. And then about a month ago, Spirit asked me to change the schedule to bring it at certain times. But it's interesting because the last couple of weeks, Spirit told me to go a little bit later. So I trust because whoever needs that message at that time is supposed to get it, right? And I believe in that. So it's the magic of wonder, You don't have to know everything, and just knowing that you're protected and guided and loved, and that you can trust yourself and your higher self and your loved ones that have passed on. Like, yeah, it's a pretty amazing feeling. Once you like go magical, you never go back. You'll never go back to normal. I'm telling you, never go back to normal. Never, never. It's quite an amazing feeling, really. So, um, thank you for joining me. And oh, see these cool lamps over here? These got like little mini lights. They also glow in the dark ones. So when I shut them off, they glow in the dark. They're kind of like a pink color. But these are made from the dollar store, and I wanted to bring that as like one of my very first projects to the channel. And it's gonna be like glow in the dark do-it-yourself lamps. So pretty neat because it's like they're champagne glasses. Where am I here? This way. This way. Good. They're champagne glasses with a bowl from the dollar store and some glow in the dark glue and with the little twilights. So I think it cost me one, two, three, four, $5 to make two lamps. Was it $5? Something like that, $5. $6, sorry. Big glue. Okay. So, because I want to keep everybody on a budget too, because not everybody has like and like me, like have to work through your money. Because I didn't grow up with a lot of money with my mom. And my grandparents always seemed to have money, but they were very set in their ways about how they spent it. It's kind of strange, but um, yeah, there is still like that mindset on money. So now that my mindset is free, things have changed radically. So that's why I'm here trying to help. Um, I keep talking. Lots of love. It's so good to see you. Thank you for showing up. And yeah, thank you for showing up. I really appreciate you. You were meant to be here and see this podcast today. And I know I don't have like the microphone over me, and I could. I have a microphone, but I really like this microphone better. It sounds better, to tell you the truth. And I think maybe sometime down the road, maybe later in the year, there'd be more surprises. And I'm gonna have to use the microphone because it might be like a louder place. I know I'm gonna work on getting a Bluetooth microphone because we're going out to nature in the next couple of months. The equipment might not take the cold, so that I can't risk because I've tried taking equipment in the cold. It's only like small periods of time. Um, but so like spring, summer, fall. So I can't wait to take you on excursions, show you fairies. Oh my gosh, show you how trees interact and plants and so much. To show you how magical our life is. And yeah, maybe we start doing some distant healing sessions with Reiki on new moons and full moons. What do you think? What do you think? So I'm like pretty excited about all the things that are coming in 2004. And I hope that you are too. Well, lots of love. It's time for me to be quiet. Bye. Thank you for joining me. Whoop, whoop. Good night. Go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.